2 times the I value. So here we have to substitute 2 into I in the place of question mark. This is the last question which we are discussing in the last session. Do you have any doubts in this question? Do you have any doubts in this question? Next, look at this question. Gautam writes a program to run on a Motorola processor on his Pentium computer. He wants to see how the program will execute on Motorola processor using his Pentium machine. What tool will he use? Whether he will use compiler, interpreter, assembler or simulator. Here, Gautam wants to write a program which should be run on Motorola processor. So what is Motorola processor? Generally, we use that Motorola processor in a phones. I mean, generally we use it in phones. So on his Pentium computer, what is Pentium computer? He has some Intel Pentium processor in his computer. So he want to run it on the Pentium processor, relating what type of program he want to run. He want to run Motorola related program. So which tool he has to use in order to run this program? That means different type of processor. For suppose in my computer I have Pentium processor, but I want to run a program which will runs on Motorola processor, not on Pentium processor, which will runs on Motorola processor. How I can able to run that type of program? Which tool among these four I can able to use? Either I can able to use a compiler or interpreter or assembler or simulator. Which of the following options is correct? So let's make a simple change to this question. Like, for suppose I want to write a program which can be run in iOS, but I have a Pentium system. I want to run that program in Pentium system. So after checking in the Pentium system, I want to install it in my iPhone. So which tool I can use to simulate it? Who thought it's an option A is correct? Please raise hand. No one for compiler. So what about interpreter? How many say interpreter is correct option? No one. Option C, assembler. How many of you say it's an assembler? No one. So how many of you say it's fourth option? How many of you there in the class? Please raise hand. Only 4. So at least you 6 are there in the class. At present you are listening to the class. So tell Which option will be the correct option? Just make a guess. So I will explain you about each and everything. What compiler do means it will convert, it will read the complete file and it will convert your high level language to low level or machine level language. So what compiler do? Compiler will read the complete file, whatever program you have written, it will read the complete file and it will output whatever, if there is any errors, it will output all the errors at a time. If there is no errors, it will output your machine level language. That is the working of compiler. What is working of interpreter? It will read each and every line in the file. If there is no error in that particular line, what it will do? It will convert it into the machine level line. Okay. Here interpreter will read each and every line and it will check whether there is any error in that particular line or not. What assembler do? Assembler will convert your assembly level language into machine level language. So for suppose if you are using some mnemonics codes to write your program, that means if you write a program in assembly level language, then by using assembler, your assembler will convert your assembly level language to machine level language. Okay, then what is the purpose of simulator? You can able to simulate some environment. For suppose I want to work on some Android phone. So by using simulator, I can get that Android phone environment. So on that I can work with whatever program I want. So among this, which one, I mean simulator is nothing but you can able to simulate whatever type of machine that you want. You can able to simulate to that type of machine. So which of these following options is correct? Either it's B, some C. B, interpreter means it will convert line by line. So it will take a same, I mean, it will consider same environment. So all these three will works with same environment. Okay, only simulator can get or run a program which is of different environment. Here what they are telling, they want to run a program on Motorola processor, but I want to run it in a Pentium machine. So what I have to do, I need to take help of simulator. In my Pentium machine, I have to bring the environment of Motorola processor. In that Motorola processor, I have to write a program and I have to run that program in that Motorola processor. Adhamainda. So which of these four options is correct? Option D. That means simulator. Any doubts here? సో నాకు డిఫరెంట్ నా సిస్టమ్కి ఉన్న క్యారెక్టరిస్టిక్స్ ఆర్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ కాకుండా నాకు వేరే ఇంకా ఏదన్నా సెపరేట్గా ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ నేను సిమ్యులేట్ చేయాలనుకుంటే దెన్ ఐ కెన్ యూజ్ సిమ్యులేటర్స్. నెక్స్ట్, any doubts in previous question? If you have any doubts, I will re-explain you with more examples. Okay, next look at this question. How many times the below loop will be executed? How many times the below loop will be executed? Here they have given some x and they have declared some x and y variables and they have written two nested for loops. So what they are asking, how many times? Here either inside loop or outside loop, how many times these loops will get executed? That's it. The question is how many times these loops, this particular loop will be executed. Either it is for 15 times or 11 times, 10 times, 13 times. Or you can consider this question in the other way. How many times this printf function will print? So for these type of questions, you need to have debugging knowledge. How many times I can able to, I can run this loop. First initialize x value to 5 and check how many times y loop iterate. Next again x becomes 1, 4. Then again check how many times y loop iterated. Count number of times the loop iteration happens. Then you will get one value. You will get one final value at that time. So try to analyze how many times we will get, either 15 times or 11 times, 10 times or 13 times. So the option is 15 times. How it's become 15? So let's see. So initially, what is x value? X value is 5. How many times I have to repeat the this x value? X from 5 to 1 until I reach 1. I need to repeat the loop. So initially x value is 5. So if x value is 5, how many times the while loop will repeat it? How many times while loop repeated? While starting from 1 to y less than or equal to x. What is x value at present? X value is 5. So y should be less than or equal to x. That means y value varies from 1 to 5. So what is the count of this y value? Y becomes 1, y becomes 2, y becomes 3, 4, 5. Totally 5 times my loop execute when x equal to 5. So next, when x equal to 4, after completion of all the cases, again you will go back here, you will decrement x value, again you will recheck whether 4 greater than or equal to 1 or not. Yes, 4 greater than or equal to 1. So again, how many times your while loop iterates? So here while loop iterates again it is initialized with 1 and it will keep on repeat until the value reaches 4. The value reaches x. What is x value? X value is 4. So here how many times the loop will repeat? 1 for one value, for 2, for 3 and for 4. So totally we have 4 values. Next, again x value decrement by 1. X becomes 3. So then y ranges from 1 to 3. Totally you will get 1, 2 and 3. That means 3 values. When x becomes 2, y value will be either 1 or 2. So total we have 2 values. So 2 times the loop repeated. So now x equal to 1. Then y value is, it can take only one value, that is 1. So one time the loop repeated, next x becomes 0. Here the condition fails, so this loop won't get executed. Here the process stops. So totally how many times loop executed? 5 plus 4, 9. 9 plus 3, 12. 12 plus 2, 14. 14 plus 1, 15. So total 15 times my loop get iterated. So any doubts here? Any doubts in this loop iteration? If you have any doubts still, I can use any visualization editors or compilers, and I can show you how the loop keep on repeating. So you don't have any doubts. So let's go on to the next question. Where the local variables are stored. Where the local variables are stored. Either we are going to store in disk memory or stack memory, heap memory, or either disk or heap memory. Where our variables will be stored. What is local variables here? Let's consider here x and y. These are called local variables. What are local variables? Variables which are confined to some block of some block. So if I if I close this main program, this x and y have no value. No space. No memory allocated for this x and y. So where we are going to store this x and y variables? Either we are going to store it in the disk memory. What is disk memory? Your secondary storage, or you are going to store it in the stack space, or you are going to store it in the heap space. So I will give you some hint. So here stack space is a temporary memory location. So here we are going to store all type of variables, methods, whatever we invoke. We will store all those values in this stack memory. So whereas in disk memory, we are going to store the permanent data, whatever data we want to store it for the future. Even though if I switch off the power, uh, after powering on later time, I want to get back the data. So those type of data I have to store in the disk memory. So generally in stack memory, I will place only temporary data. Temporary data will be stored in stack memory. Whereas coming to heap memory, here in heap memory, I am going to store objects information. So whenever an object is created or anything created globally, so whenever anything created globally, that means the scope is throughout the program, not within a block. So those type of variables have to be stored in the heap space. Uh, global variables or objects, everything will be stored in the heap memory. So based on these concepts, on which memory storage you are going to store the local variables. I already told you these local variables are confined to a block only. So its lifetime is too short. So where I can store this local variables, either in stack or in heap. A and C, D. Must just listen to me. What is A? A is disk memory. Disk memory ante మీ secondary memory, hard disk లాంటిది. So local variables are not permanent. No need of storing it for a long time. So no need of storing it permanently, so I don't need disk memory. So if I cut off option A, so automatically option D also cut off. Now tell me, among these two, which option I need to select? Either it is stack or heap. Heap.
C, ma'am.
What I said? Heap. In heap you are going to store global variables and objects. So what we stored in stack we will store all the temporary values like method invocations, like variables, everything will be stored in the stack. So here they are asking about local variables. So local variables will be are temporary values. So temporary values will be stored in stack. Remember this point. In heap memory, you are going to store only global variables and objects. In stack, you are going to store temporary values like variables, like local variables or methods. Everything will be stored in stack space. Disk space అంటే అది పర్మనెంట్ మెమరీ లొకేషన్ అంటిల్ అన్లెస్ మీరు ఎక్స్ప్లిసిట్గా డిలీట్ ఆప్షన్ నొక్కితే తప్ప అది డిలీట్ అవ్వదు. సో ఇట్ విల్ ఆల్వేస్ దేర్ ఇన్ యువర్ మెమరీ. Any doubts here? Any doubts? So let's go on to the next question. Look at this question. So here in this question, some statement is missing here. So here some statement is missing. So in this missing place, which of these options is correct? Which among these options will correctly fitted in this statement line? Here we can able to see a code for factorial. What is the input for this factorial? Factorial taking one integer. So for all these, if you observe in all the options here, all the functions taking integer value only. Okay. Then what is the return type of this function? So the return type is long int. So which among these options will represent the long integer? Either it is represented as LL or U or D or LD. Which among these options will I mean which among these options will represent long integer type? So if I write it as percentage D, what does it mean? If I write it as percentage D, what does it mean? In printf in C language, if I write percentage D in format specifier percentage D means what? So I generally use percentage D for integer type. For all integer variables, I will use format specifier percentage D. Percentage F, when I will use percentage F. If the data type or the variable type is float, then I will use percentage F. when I will use percentage LF. If it is of type double, then I will use LF. When I will use percentage U. If it is short int, for short int, I will use percentage U. When I will use LD, for long int, I will use LD. When I will use LL, LL means long int. So which among these options will be the correct option which will fit here? So here LL means long int, U means short, D means int, LD means long int. Which of these options is correctly fitted there? Which among the following options will correctly fit it there, ma? See, look at the explanation what I said and look at the question again once and think and tell me what will be the correct option. Can you able to listen to my voice? Option C. What is option C here? They have given it as percentage D. What percentage D tells you? Percentage D tells you it as integer type. But what is the return type here? Return type is long int. So which format specifier I have to place in the printf? Think and tell me. Yes, option
Option
D.
D, ma'am.
Option D is correct. So option D is correct. So LL means long, U means short, D means integer and LD means long int. Here the return type is long int. We have to opt this particular option because here we are using this particular function directly in printf, so we have to write the relating format specifier which relates to its return type. So next, go with the next question. Which of the following indicates the end of the file? So in your file concept, for suppose you have created one text document. So now I am reading your text document. How can you know that your file get ended? So which among the following will specify that is end of the file? Either it is FEOF method or EOF or FEOF and EOF both or none of the mentioned. So generally you can use both these variable or method. File end of, I mean, in files end of file method, and this is end of file. It specifies end of file, so you can use any of this to indicate end of the file. You can use both. Next, so already I discussed this type of question in earlier classes. Please look at the question and tell me which option. For passing command line argument, the main function should be like either like int main, array pointer, and one integer variable, or integer variable, or only array pointer, or first we will have integer variable, then we will have pointer to array. Which among the following is the correct option? So I already discussed about this So they have asked you in different way. Please look at the question and tell me which among the following is the correct option. For suppose in command line I have a function called sample.c. So in command line I am typing sample.c, something like 1 and 2 and 3. I am calling a function like, I mean calling a program like this. How main will consider these arguments? How main will consider these arguments either in first way or second way or third way or fourth way. So generally your main function consider two arguments. The first one is count of arguments. So this count is including your file name. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So count is 4. Next, second one is list of arguments. That means you will have 4 list of arguments. The first one is sample.c, the file name itself. Next comes your actual given arguments. So the first one is count. Count is of type integer. Next one is list of or pointer, I mean array of pointers. Pointer array. So if I consider in this way, which among the following option is correct? Option 4 is correct. So your main should be like this. First one is argument count, and then you will have pointers. You will have pointer array. Any doubts in this question? Any doubts? Okay, if you don't have any, if you don't have no doubts, and I will move on to the next question. So the answer is option D. You can able to see this. The answer is option D. Next. Again, this is the same type which we discussed in the same class. So how many times the below loop will be executed? Either it is for 5 times, 1 time, 0 time, or 3 times. The I value initially assigned value 0 and I less than 5. So I value can take values from 0 to 4. how many times this loop executed. Executed means how many times we are going to enter into this loop. So I value will takes value from 0 to less than 5. Less than 5 means 4. So it will take values from 0 to 4. In that way, how many times this loop executed? Either it is for 5 times or 1 time, 0 time or 3 times. Option D, 3 times. I generally takes value from 0 to 4. That means I value becomes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So how many times your loop iterates? 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, 4 time and 5 time. Totally how many times? 5 times. How comes it's 3 times? Your so I value becomes 0, I value become 1, 2, 3 and till 4. So these many times my loop get iterated. So totally how many times I can able to enter this loop? 5 times. Just take I values and count. What they are asking, how many times below loop will be executed. అంటే ఎన్నిసార్లు ఈ కండిషన్ అనేది ట్రూ అవుతుందని మనం చెక్ చేసుకుంటే we will get the count. No need of checking inside code. So we have to check only this condition. For suppose in inside code, if we have any if conditions, then you have to go through the inside code. If condition lo kuda meeku break ani edanna unte, then you have to check that if condition. Otherwise, no need of checking if condition body of the for loop also. So మీరు ఏం చెక్ చేయాలి? What is the initial value? How many times this loop executes? ఈ కండిషన్ ఇనిషియల్ వాల్యూ తెలిస్తే మీకు లూప్ ఎన్నిసార్లు రిపీట్ అవుతుంది అనేది తెలిసిపోతుంది. సో ఇక్కడ ఐ వాల్యూ అంతా 0 నుంచి స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది. ఎన్నిసార్లు రిపీట్ అవుతుంది? ఐ లెస్ దాన్ 5. ఐ లెస్ దాన్ 5 అంటే వాట్ ఈస్ ద ఇమీడియట్ లీస్ట్ వాల్యూ? వాల్యూ ఇస్ 4. సో ఫర్ 0 it will repeat loop iterated for value 1, loop iterated for value 2, loop iterated for value 3, loop iterated for value 4, loop iterated. So how many times we are entering? Totally for 5 times. So option A is correct. Next, which of the following is user defined data type? Either it is long int, double, unsigned long int or enum. How many times? Sorry. Which of the following is user defined data type? What is user defined? Generally, we have two types of data types. We have two types of data types. One is predefined and the other one is user defined. Predefined and user defined, which are already defined by your compiler, is called predefined. So whatever data types that you can able to define is comes under user defined. So which among the following will comes under user defined? Which of the following will comes under user defined? Some of the examples for predefined is int, float, char. All this comes under user defined. Some comes under predefined. So what are the things that comes under user defined means which you are defining, like arrays, structures, unions and some other. So I have listed few. Just remember, I mean, recollect your whatever you have learned in C and tell me which among the following is user defined. So if you observe long int is integer, it is a predefined variable. So we can't consider it as user defined. So double, it is a predefined. Unsigned long double, it is a predefined. So only left out is enum. Enum is user defined. You can able to define your own data type. So in order to give a meaning, I mean, in order to define some integral constants, you can define enums. So arrays, structures, unions, enums, all this comes under user defined data type. That means you are going to define or assign values, address values to those variables or to those data types. So all this comes under user defined. And what is predefined? Predefined are int, float, char, boolean, double, long, short, unsigned, signed. All this comes under predefined. Any doubts? So next, move on to the next question. Which has the highest precision? Either it is float, double, unsigned, long int and long int. So after decimal, we call this as precision, how long it takes. So ఒక వాల్యూ ఉందనుకోండి 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 so on. So which will have highest precision? So I mean, how many digits that will consider after decimal? After decimal point, how many digits the particular variable can withhold? Either it is float, double, unsigned, long int or long int. Option A. What is option A? Float. Okay. Then what about others? Option D. So for just look here, it's of type integer. So how can you say it's an option D? So for integers, we don't have any decimal values. So how can you talk about precision? So you can talk about precision only in the case of float or double. So as I already told you, how many decimals it can take after this point. So for integer, how comes you discuss about decimals? You don't have any fractional part in integer type. So generally your float will have 6-bit precision. That means it can store or it can output 6 bits after this decimal point. It can show 6 bits. Whereas your double can store 64 bits precision. So by double have 64 bits, whereas for float it has only 6 bits. So which has the highest precision now? Which has the highest precision? So the answer is B. No doubt, it's B. Next. Next, look at this program. what will be the output or error? Whether we will get output or error if I solve this program. Here they have given some, they have included some header files, then they declared some function, then we have main. So inside the main I have called one function. So this function body is present at this position. So look at this program and tell me whether we will have some value or we will get any error. So if you observe here, we are calling the same function name inside the function. These types of function is called as recursive functions. So if I call the function inside the same function, then it is called as recursive functions. So substitute values 6 and 9 here in place of n1 and n2 and check what will be the return type or what will be the output here, whether we will get any outputs like 369 or we will get error. Check it and tell me. Option C, 9. Did you check the program or it's a fluke? Option C. So here let's see, n1 and n2 are 6 9. So initially the values are 6 and 9. Here while 6 not equal to 9, 6 not equal to 9, which is a true case. So we will enter into the loop. If x greater than y, 6 greater than 9, yes or no? No. So we will go on to the else condition. So inside the else condition, what they are calling? Again, they are calling fg function with the values x 6 comma y minus x, 9 minus 6. What is 9 minus 6? The value 3. So here the values are 6 and 3 now. So 6 not equal to 3, condition true. Here after entering into the loop, 6 greater than 3. Here now x value is 6, y value is 3. 6 greater than, x greater than y means 6 greater than 3, true. So again we are returning some value. What is the value? Fg of x minus y. What is x minus y? 6 minus 3. The answer here option is 3. Y value is also 3. Again we will repeat the loop. Here after coming here we will again check whether x not equal to y. X value is 3, y value is also 3. X not equal to y. Condition failed, 3 not equal to 3. Condition failed, so false statement. So you will come out of the while condition. Here what I am returning? I am returning x value. What is x value now? At present the x value is 3. So 3 will be returned here. So which value will be printed? The value printed is 3. So option A is correct. Any doubts? Okay, ma, for today I'm stopping my discussion at this point. So, okay, ma, thank you. I will continue in the next session.
Sir, today's topic is word order. Okay, good afternoon, students. Mr. Vishwa, good afternoon.